can read from there. Indirectly,
Okay.
it is said that the whole basic social construction of human society is so made that everyone acts as a part and parcel of the complete body of the Lord. The intelligent class of men or the Brahmanas are situated on the face of the Lord. The administrative class of men, the Kshatriyas, are situated on the arms of the Lord. The productive class of men, the Vaishyas, are situated on the belt of the Lord. And the laborer class of men, the Shudras, are situated on the legs of the Lord. Therefore, the complete social construction is the body of the Lord. And all the parts of the body, namely the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras, are meant to serve the Lord's whole body conjointly. Otherwise, the parts become unfit to be coordinated with the supreme consciousness of oneness. Universal consciousness is actually achieved by coordinated service of all concerned to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that alone can ensure total perfection.
Therefore, even the great.
Okay.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Therefore,
sure.
Therefore, even the great scientists, the great philosophers, the great mental speculators, the great politicians, the great industrialists, the great social reformers, etc., cannot give any relief to the restless society of the material world because they do not know the secret of success, as mentioned in this verse of the Bhagavatam, namely that one must know the mystery of Bhakti Yoga. In the Bhagavad Gita 7:15, also it is said, Namam no Nudaha Pradpayante Naradamaha Maya Pragyana Asharam Bhavam Ashritataha. So because the so-called great leaders of human society are ignorant of this great knowledge of Bhakti Yoga and are always engaged in ignoble acts of sense gratification, bewildered by the external energy of the Lord, they are stubborn rebels against the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they never agree to surrender unto Him because they are fools, miscreants, and the lowest type of human beings. Such faithless non-believers may be highly educated in the material sense of the term, but factually they are the greatest fools of the world because by the influence of the external material nature, all their so-called acquisition of knowledge has been made null and void. Therefore, all advancement of knowledge in the present context of things is being misused by cats and dogs, fighting with one another for sense gratification, and all acquisition of knowledge in science, philosophy, fine arts, nationalism, economic development, religion, and great activities are being spoiled by being used as dresses for dead men. There is no utility in the dresses used for covering a coffin of a dead body, save getting false applause from the ignorant public. The Srimad Bhagavatam therefore says again and again that without attainment of the status of Bhakti Yoga, all the activities of human society are to be considered absolute failures. Only, it is said, Para Bhavas Tavad Aboha Jato Vavana Gyasnasta Atma Tatwam Yatvat Krishya Tavad Idam Manovai Karma to Makam Yena Saria Mandaha. Bhagavad Gita 5:5:5. As long as one is blind to and inquiring after self-realization, all material activities, however great they may be, are all different kinds of deceit, because the aim of human life is not fulfilled by such unwanted and profitless activities. The function of the human body is to attain freedom from material bondage. But as long as one is fully absorbed in material activities, his mind will be overwhelmed in the whirlpool of matter, and thus he will continue to be encaged in material bodies life after life. Evam Manaha Karma Vaisham Prayukte, Avidyatamani Upadhi Yamane, Prikter na Yavam Mayi Vaishadeve, Nam Mukyate Diha Yogina Takvat. Bhagavad Gita 556. It is one's mind that generates different kinds of bodies for suffering different kinds of material pains. Therefore, as long as the mind is absorbed in fruitive activities, the mind is understood to be absorbed in nescience, nescience, and thus one is sure to be subjected to material bondage in different bodies again and again until one develops a transcendental love for Godhead, Vasudeva, the Supreme Person. To become absorbed in the transcendental name, quality, form, and activities of the Supreme Person, Vasudeva means to change the temper of the mind from matter to absolute knowledge, which leads one to the path of absolute realization, and thus frees one from the bondage of material contact and engagements in different material bodies. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada therefore comments on the words Sarvatra, in the sense that the principles of Bhakti Yoga or devotional service to the Lord are apt in all circumstances. Bhakti Yoga is recommended in all revealed scriptures. It is performed by all authorities. It is important in all places. It is useful in all causes and effects, etc. As far as all the revealed scriptures are concerned, he quotes from the Skanda Purana on the topics of Brahma and Narad as follows. Samsare Shamin Mahagure Janma Mrityu Samakule Pujanam Vaishudevasya Tarakam Zadibihi Shritam. In the material world, which is full of darkness and dangers, combined with birth and death and full of different anxieties, the only way to get out of the great entanglement is to accept loving transcendental devotional service to Lord Vasudeva. This is accepted by all classes of philosophers. Srila Jiva Goswami also quotes under...
Mataji, we are only to read till here, till all classes of philosophers. Thank you so much for reading. Thanks a lot, because there was a lot of noise upstairs, so you wouldn't have been able to hear me, because I speak a little slowly, and so thanks a lot, Mataji, for your wonderful reading.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, now I will try to summarize. So, I think both of you, Prabla, Adri Mataji, and I'm sorry, I forgot the name. Premanjali Mataji, you were not there. So, yes, we read up till now that basically it is very imperative that we should carry on the process of self-realization and bhakti yoga in all realizing God and worshiping Him in all circumstances, whether we do it by gyan karma or Gyan Yoga, Karma Yoga, or other yogas, or Bhakti Yoga, but then the aim ultimately should be to go towards God and aspire in all circumstances to realize Him, the Supreme Person. So now we are starting from there. Okay, yeah. So here, so in the so like the whole society is so built up that everyone is somehow or the other trying to work for the Lord. And trying to work for the Lord is like not thinking about themselves, their own selfish motives, but trying to work for even for the high. Like not everybody realizes that they are working for the Lord, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But then in the Bhagavad Gita, it is written that if you cannot do that, then at least try to give up the fruit of your action. Like try to be detached from the results of the act of the work that you are doing. So similarly, like over here, it is like that at least they should try to be unselfish in their work and do it for the higher. If I'm doing it for the higher purpose of even like for the higher purpose and not and being detached from the results, then that's the beginning step. That's the beginning step. Then the next step is like to dedicate everything to God. And then the third realization is to do everything, not even like do the work or just like dedicate everything to the Lord and do it for His pleasure. So so the society is built like that the most intelligent, like how we have read that the intelligent class of men or the brahmanas are like the head or the face, and the administrative class are situated on the arms, and the productive class are situated on the belt, and the laborers, the shudras, are situated on the legs of the Lord, which is like not to be said that one cannot work function without the other. So somewhere I had read a very beautiful analogy to the similar thing like that. Um, it was an book, but it tries um, to like give the idea what we are trying to say is that how if the hand starts saying to the mouth that I am the one that is um, nourishing the body, because without it the mouth can just not like do the work and gather all the stuff and cook and then like feed you. Or the mouth might say that okay, without me the food will not even get to you hand, because the mouth is the one that is chewing the food and digesting the food, and like not digesting but the saliva that digesting. So the mouth might say that, but then each can't do without the other. So it's not like without the hands, the mouth can be fed, because if the person doesn't do work or gather the stuff and can cook or like take the food to the mouth, then it really can't eat, and then the mouth can't. If the mouth can't eat and chew it, then it won't uh, undigest it partially. Then it can't like go to the stomach, and so then it will be unable to reach the hand. So that's why everybody has their own importance, and through like even how like it says in the Bhagavad Gita that through the proper discharge of one's own duty, anybody can reach perfection and can reach Godhead, even with the perfection of their own duty, is whatever is assigned to them, and another's duty is kind of is fearful. So so um, the complete social construction is the body of the Lord, and all the parts of the body, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, are meant to serve the Lord's whole body conjointly. Otherwise, the parts become unfit to be coordinated with the supreme consciousness of oneness. So one can't think that I am superior to the other or even inferior to the other, because sometimes many people feel, oh, I am not worthy. Like pride is one thing, but then other side is also very is not a good consciousness to have, where a person feels, oh, I am nothing, I cannot do anything, I cannot reach God, I'm so fallen. Because even that like how Krishna says that he can be the biggest of the biggest and the smallest of the small. So even like if we think, okay, I can be the smallest, the most fallen, even then he will say no, because and one starts sometimes taking pride in that, I am totally useless and I shall not make any effort, because really I will not be able to amount to anything and will not be able to do anything. Then also it's like, no, then we see that there are many people below us who are like striving to even attain to know like who is God, and at least we are on the level where we understand a few things about try to reach God. So we can be the biggest and the smallest at the same time. So we should not have the consciousness either of like being prideful or the consciousness of being very inferior. So we have to just keep doing our duties with pride. That not pride is not the right word, with understanding that we are doing it for the Lord, the Supreme Lord, and proper discharge of duty can lead to perfection. So when Arjun asked in Gita that what exactly is yoga, he says perfection in action is yoga. In one of the verses, he says perfection in action is yoga. So so like even through the proper discharge of one's duty, be it like karma yoga, jnana yoga, or bhakti yoga, or whichever mark we are taking, whichever path we are taking, we can all reach the Lord. But we have to become coordinated by like saying that we are by realizing that we are doing this for the Lord and not for our own personal interest or self gratification. So universal consciousness is actually achieved by coordinated service of all concerned to the supreme personality of Godhead, and that alone can ensure the perfection. Therefore, even the great scientists, the great philosophers, the great mental speculators, the great politicians, etc., cannot give any relief to the rest of the society of the material world. So they, ये मैं एक दिमाग ये वाला ये अपने रीजन अन्य तो होते ही क्या नहीं है तो पहले okay, sorry about that. So yes, universal consciousness is actually achieved by coordinated service, and so all these people, great scientists or thinkers or reformers, they cannot give relief to the rest of society because they do not know the secret that is that we have to ultimately work for God and we have to dedicate all the actions to God. And if we try to do it ourselves or try to like take pride or think that or have the ego that we can do it by ourselves without like the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal should be that okay, this action of mine is dedicated to the Lord. But if we don't do it, and if we do it in a sense of or in a spirit of personal ego gratification, then it will lead to a total disaster. And that is why we are not able to solve simple problems of life, of society, and simple problems of reformation or hunger or even such very simple problems, because it is very easy because there is a surplus on one end and there is a deficit on the other end. So it is very easy, but still we are not able to solve because we do not dedicate it to the Lord. So so they are ignorant of this knowledge of bhakti yoga and always engaged in ignoble acts of self gratification. Bewildered by the external energy of the Lord, there are stubborn rebels against the supremacy of the supreme personality of Godhead, and they never agree to surrender unto Him. So that is the thing, because one believes in one's own capacity, and so like we have seen so many times that God will grant always whatever is one's desire. So, okay, one's desire is to make a name for themselves by proving a certain point that they can, let's say, develop an X solution to a problem. Then God will grant it, like how so many inventions are happening in the materialistic world. Now we have telephones, who are thought that we can talk from one end to the other, internet and planes and stuff like that, because man believes in his own capacity. It is all good and fine because Krishna ultimately grants the desire of the human beings. But then there is still restlessness both in the individual and the society, because it is not solving the higher problem, which is like why still after that wish fulfillment one is not satisfied, because and it is also not solving a bigger problem, which is like still why is there so much of restlessness in the society, because we are not dedicating all of it to the Lord, and we are not surrendering to God, realizing our very small nature, that we are so small and incapable and so dependent upon Him, and also on His mercy. So, because one does not realize that, that is why one is really not able to make progress, even though it might appear to be progress, but it is just like we have discussed many times, it is just an external progress of the material world, but it is not a progress of the spiritual in the spiritual sense. So such faithless non-believers may be educated, but actually they are the greatest fools, because by the influence of the external material nature, all their so-called acquisition of knowledge has been made null and void. So one can be very educated and also like a big philosopher or a thinker or like a nuclear scientist or everything, but soon they realize that this acquisition of knowledge, one realizes pretty soon that all this knowledge, how useless and how like purposeless it is, because when a person falls sick, or when the person has old age or disease or death, then it cannot solve those problems. It cannot even give any satisfaction there and then. It will not give even some satisfaction there and then, even when the person has tried and struggled their whole life to get some name, fame, or some accomplishment. It will not give them any satisfaction. And so at that moment, they realize that it is totally null and void, whatever they have gained. So like how they are developing in defense technologies like nuclear weapons and missiles and all kinds of very advanced gadgetry to protect themselves. But ultimately, they cannot protect themselves from death. And so they are trying to protect each other, fighting like cats and dogs, like, okay, this is my nation, this is yours, this is my water, this land is mine, and that land is yours. And on the pretext of religion, on the pretext of all these things, the one is fighting like cats and dogs for sense gratification, that who will have more material wealth, who will have more material wealth. Like right now, US is the superpower, so it's like, okay, in the US, one has a very also there are very good points that one feels protected and one can be in a certain peace of mind. Within certain countries like India, there is always the sense of fear that somebody can come and harm them. So that all is there, but mostly it is sense gratification or material advancement, which one country or the other, they are all fighting for that. But or they might fight for on the name of religion, or like how some religions like fight amongst each other that their religion is superior, or they fight on various pretexts. But like it is written that great activities are being spoiled by being used as dresses for dead men. So ultimately, all this like for a dead man is dressed like if one dresses him in the finest gold or whatever, gold or silver clothes, it is like no use for the dead person. So similarly, all this fighting for material acquisition would not lead one to anything, because apart from maintaining the body, it is really not addressing the soul, and it is not addressing even satisfaction, or it is not even solving the problem of birth, age, death, and disease. So there is no utility in the dresses used for covering of often of a dead body, save getting false applause from the ignorant public. Um, so it is true that without the attainment of the status of Bhakti Yoga, all the activities are to be considered absolute failures. So without dedicating all our activities to God, those anything one may achieve materially, even like in the field of knowledge, one may achieve material knowledge, but that will be totally a zero. So ultimately, if one is not inquiring after self-realization, which is like who I am, why am I in the material world, where have I come from, like how many lifetimes I've been living like this, and for what purpose am I here, and where am I going to, like what will be my destiny after I leave the body. If these, without like inquiring into all questions, we like, even if like one is selfish, but like how one Buddha says that it is good to be selfish, but one must realize what is my selfishness truly in. One might think, okay, I'm a selfish person. He says it's very good you are selfish. There's nothing wrong in being selfish, but one should realize what does my selfishness lie in. So if one person is like thinking, okay, I have attained all this wealth and I can live comfortably, there is no guarantee when one will fall sick, when one will be having everybody will be having old age, and even like death, and also like other agencies of other aspects of the material world will affect them. Like anytime the person's wealth can be taken away, he might be separated from the loved ones. Lot of things can happen at any moment, and can I protect himself from all this? Because those questions one does not realize, and is one running after profitless activity. So the function of the human body is to attain freedom from material bondage. So like the only function why we have got this human body is to realize that we can reach God, we can try to cultivate love for Godhead, so that we realize that we have been separated with God for a long time, and try to have a relationship with God where we can ask for for divine love and divine mercy, and then only we can be delivered from this coming and going, and also to be delivered from this material world, because it is very it is very easy to get attached to the material world. So also to pray that we be removed from it. So so then it says, I don't know what is the meaning of the verse, but it is one's mind that generates different kinds of bodies for suffering different kinds of material contaminants. Therefore, as long as the mind is absorbed in fruitive activities, the mind is understood to be absorbed in need signs, and thus one is sure to be subjected to. Masuji can say, Manjali Masuji. explain because I don't think you will be able to hear me uh, because of the music.
Sorry, did you mention me?
Yeah, I was just thinking that if you can explain because I will have problems explaining because there's too much noise, like you can say.
I know. I don't understand why devotees, when we're discussing Shema Bhagavatam, will not mute their phones so we don't have background noise. I think that is.
No, it's in the house where I am giving the class.
Oh, it's from you, Matai. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mataji, can you go somewhere else in the house?
No, it's my room, and so actually I can go upstairs. Okay, I guess I'll just try to finish it in this one paragraph. So, it is one mind that generates different kinds of bodies for suffering different kinds of material and therefore, as long as the mind is absorbed in future activities, the mind is understood to be absorbed in me times, and thus one is sure to be subjected to material bondage in different bodies again and again until one develops transcendental love for Godhead. So the point here is that the whole life we live with a certain consciousness, like whether the consciousness is towards like some vices like greed, hatred, enmity, or too much attachment, or um, too much of like materialism, or these things, then it is very difficult to have a very different consciousness at the time of death. And whatever consciousness one person has at the time of death, that will determine the next birth. So, then it is very important that every moment we are in a consciousness where we realize the presence of God, like how this is the main crux of this passage, is that at every moment and in all circumstances and in all ways, we should always be trying to be remembering the Lord. And that's why, or developing love for God. And so similarly, we should try to refine our consciousness every moment so that we don't fall into the trap of birth and death, and we are not subjected to material bodies, because who knows if one will get a human body again. So so then one should develop a transcendental love for Godhead in this very life and the present moment, and to become absorbed in the transcendental name, quality, form, and activities of the Supreme Person Vasudev means to change the temper of mind from matter to absolute knowledge, which leads one to the path of absolute absolute realization, and thus free from the bondage of material contact and engagements in different material bodies. So, like how one has to free themselves um, from the different consciousness or from different bodies, because nature gives the body according to the consciousness and according to the acts that a person has been doing their whole life, and then it will be even more difficult to get out of that material bondage. So Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada comments on the word Sarvatra Sarvada. Sarvatra means everywhere. Sarvada means always. So in every place, in everywhere and in always, one should keep trying for bhakti yoga or devotional service to the Lord. And it is so bhakti yoga is recommended in all the revealed scriptures. It is performed by all authorities. It is important in all places, useful in all causes and effects, etc. As far as all revealed scriptures Then he quotes from, so like even like for a person who is not into bhakti yoga, like even if one is a karmi or like he's doing the karma yoga or trying to attain the supreme truth by gyan yoga, then too if one is submissive and then surrenders to the supreme personality or the supreme truth, whatever one call him, then to and give up the results of one's actions that and give up the ego that one is doing anything, because we cannot even blink an eye without the sanction of the Lord who is situated in the heart. So until we realize his supremacy and give all credits to like the reason for our existence, the one who created us. So until we realize that and offer all our work to him, so in other paths also one can attain God through those other paths, even in karma or jnana or bhakti yoga, in any form, but one has to be submissive and so in every place and circumstance, it's like it is not necessary that one is just a temple doing that is the highest form, but still like if in whatever circumstances one is, they can remember the God anywhere and try to pray to him and try to devote the result of one's work and surrender to him at the circumstance and the place he is in, and they can progress. So in the material world, which is full of darkness and dangers combined with birth and death and full of different anxieties, the only way to get out of the great entanglement is to accept loving transcendental devotional service to the Lord Vasudev. This is accepted by all classes of philosophers. And so, like I said, the service can be in any form, like even if one is like in the karmic world where you're trying to do something for the society, be a part of the society, be a productive part of the society. But if he does it unselfishly, giving up the result of his work and just dedicating everything to the Lord and surrendering to him, then we can still reach God even through that path. So this is accepted by, but like how Bhakti Yoga is the supreme and the superior path, because one is directly in contact with the devotees and also with the acharyas, scriptures, and also with the deities. So that is the most perfect form of service, the transcendental devotional service is most perfect form, and that is the one way where we can surely reach back to Godhead. So that is to this we had to read. Sorry, I rushed it up a little bit because I'm always scared that I will not be able to make it on time. So I just fast forward my whole class a little bit.
Haribol, Haribol. Such a nice class. You're Prima Rasa, right?
No, I'm Ruchi Mataji.
You're Ruchi Mataji. I thought that Prima Rasa was supposed to give class tonight.
He was supposed no
Prima Rasa tomorrow, Mataji.
I've started to forget names. I've forgotten your name, Mataji.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm Premanjali Devi Dasi. I really like
you. Not you. I've forgotten that Mataji. Who these days it happens to me.
Actually, it is my turn today. It's Prabala Madhuri Dasi.
Yes.
But I have some service, so I requested Ruchi Mataji to take the class.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. I try to discern the voices so that I can connect the voices with the name, but it's difficult for me sometimes, especially being new and not having met you, Mataji. So I was just wondering. So it's okay. I really like this sloka. I like the fact that it is teaching us how powerful bhakti yoga is, how powerful. That there's no qualification, that the only qualification is a sincere earnestness, is the only qualification. Is simply by hearing and chanting, one becomes a great devotee. It lets you know in the shloka that whatever fits you or whatever you like if, excuse me, if you like to read, if you like to hear, if you like to chant, whatever it is, non-devotional service, you become perfect in whatever it is that you really like. That bhakti yoga will deliver you from the pits of hell. I was like, really? Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, the inhabitants of hell become released from the hellish persecution. So the conclusion of Shema Bhagavatam is that just practice bhakti yoga. It's letting you know that even the jnanis and the karma yogas or whatever, they have the what is that? The consciousness, the developed consciousness, and that's why they're performing in those respects. But even the sense gratification, the ones who are seeking sense gratification for wealth and popularity or whatever, they're still seeking Krishna because Krishna is those things. I was like, wow, that is amazing. So I was real excited about a lot of the paragraphs in this sloka. One is also be a servant of God, live peacefully in that consciousness, virtually returning home back to God. It was just very, very nice. And Prabhupada said, we were talking about the different parts of bodies, and that the arms of I think the Vaishyas, or maybe the stomach is the Vaishyas, but the legs of the Sudras and Brahmanas are the head and that sort of thing. And Prabhupada said that the body can do without the other parts, but if they do not have the head, the body is finished. So that's why he said it was important to him to create Brahmanas, because we didn't have any head. We were walking around headless. Is what he said. So I thought, yeah, this was just very nice. A lot of information. The whole material existence has sprung up because of sense gratification. Desire is based principally on the sex desire. That's the whole reason for the material manifestation. The best and guaranteed path of progress, therefore, engagement in bhakti yoga, pure devotional service. Very nice.
Sorry, I was on mute. That is what I was trying to say, is that we had read earlier that sex desire is not only like physical, sex desire is not just physical, but it also implies envy, like how one is envious of other people, or even like towards towards a person. That also is stems from sex desire, which was something we had read a few months ago in the Bhagavatam.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so sex desire here does not only mean like the physical desire. It actually means a lot of things, like how subconsciously it is the whole basis of creation. That is also recognized by the philosophers who say that that is the reason why the ego develops, because of the thing, and how because of that one is the personality develops, and so that is the thing which is subconsciously there, not even like desire in the mind or like physical place and stuff.
Yes, yes, Mother.
Prabhamaji Mataji, would you like to add something?
No, Mataji, but thank you for taking my turn today. Actually, I'm still in temple doing my service.
I always like to
It also said in this sloka that those who are not devotees misinterpret the Bhagavad Gita, of course. And so if you read them, they're lost. If you read it, then you're lost because they don't know who Krishna is and they're not acknowledging the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in turn, you won't either. It's real important that we have a bona fide spiritual master in the cyclic succession of Brahmaji that teaches us the literatures because they have seen the truth so they can explain the truth, and they've seen the truth from their spiritual masters. So I thought that was very nice as well.
Yeah, that is what, but also it is written that how they misinterpret the Bhagavad Gita, and then immediately after that, they have written that it's a Dharma in everyone's heart. So that is what I was stressing on yesterday, that is what it wanted to say, is that we misinterpret the Bhagavad Gita by not realizing that he is the Paramatma in the heart of everybody and guiding all people.
It's terrible trying to hear with all that background noise. It's just terrible. Wow. This is such an amazing shloka. They said even someone who is practicing horrible activities, if they're on the path of bhakti yoga, they're considered to be holy men. I mean, bhakti yoga is just so, so powerful. The chanting of the holy names are amazing. I was listening to my Guru Maharaj's lecture, and he said, "Are you having problems?" And he says, "Are you chanting your rounds?" So he's connecting material problems with chanting the rounds. That chanting the rounds will alleviate material problems. It's our protection. It says that here in this shloka, it talks about how even that if even for a moment, remembrance of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is missed, that is the greatest loss. That is the greatest illusion. And what is the greatest anomaly? The Lord can be worshipped in all stages. For instance, all stages of life, for instance, even in the wombs of their mothers, Maharaj Prahlad and Maharaj Pariksit worshiped the Lord even in his very childhood at the age of only 5 years. Dhruva Maharaj worshiped the Lord. Even in full youth, Maharaj Ambarisha worshiped the Lord. And even at the last stage of his frustration and old age, Maharaj Dristar worshiped the Lord. And Jamil worshiped the Lord even at the point of death. And Citra Ketu worshiped the Lord even in heaven and in hell. So in the Narasrimha Purana, it is said that as the hellish inhabitants began to chant the holy names of the Lord, they began to be elevated from hell towards heaven. That's amazing.
Yes, you have some nice realizations, Manjali Mataji. I wonder why Linda Mataji and what Mansi Linda Mataji.
Well, thank you for a beautiful class, and I really think that this shloka has so much information and so much encouragement about chanting holy names and about following our Guru Day in cyclic succession. So I'm going to say good night, Mataji's. I hope you guys have a great night, and we'll see you all on Monday. Hare Krishna.
Today's Thursday, Master. So tomorrow we will have class. Hare Krishna, Master.
Thank you, Ruchi Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, but we will have a class tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we do have.
Yeah, okay. If Premanjali Mataji didn't realize that today is Thursday, she said now we meet on Monday, so I
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mataji, for giving me the opportunity to speak. Okay, Hare Krishna.